welcome back again, everyone, to your Church of Heavy Metal that is Thunderdome Metal Reviews. I am the Reverend Dangerously, and with me, as always, are my compatriots in this journey that we call life. Gabe, annihilated by Weasels Cooper. Tracy, the process of annihilating chickens. Newport, and David, I've been drinking since noon, pizza. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
I've been drinking since noon, so great. Sorry, go ahead. Happy birthday to my liver.
You keep
I'm
saying
being
that.
eaten by rodents, so I'm doing perfectly well. Thank you.
Indeed.
Indeed. And we're here to talk about my pick for an album that came out in October, Blood Red Throne's Imperial Congregation. It was released on the 8th day of October in 2021. It is their 10th studio album, and I'm going to be honest, this is the only one that I've heard. It was released on Nuclear Blast and has a runtime of 45 minutes and 53 seconds. The band is Yngvi Bolt Christensen on vocals, Ivan Mithuk Gucic on guitars, Daniel Dodd Ollensen on guitars, Stian Gunderson on bass, and Freddie Bosso on drums. I probably butchered that last name. I apologize. But yeah, there we are.
I love that all of them have badass nicknames except like Gunderson. He's just Gunderson.
Like, doesn't need it.
Everyone else is a bolt or a meat hook or God knows what, but not
The rhythm
Steve.
section is just like holding it down.
It's just
Steve. Like, we don't need stage names. We're that good.
Well, as Ben said, this is the first one I've ever heard. I'd heard of them. I thought they were black metal, which made me think they were not good, which is not fair.
I think you were thinking of Dark Throne.
I think I was
Probably.
too. And then, like, when the first, like, Gabe was like, guys, this album, and I cue it up, I'm like, oh my God, like, my face got blown back. I mean, it's, this is very different than what I thought I was going to get. And I was very, very pleased as, you know, death metal's ambassador. This was pretty righteous, y'all.
David's just like, death metal, you say? Okay.
I mean, good death metal.
Yeah,
this
good death metal.
This is very good death metal. It's got, you know, I like Cerebral Rot. It was fun, but this is like a little faster than that. You know, has all that, you know, palm harmonic stuff, but slightly less. It's got groove to it. I mean, it reminded me a lot of Morbid Angel at their peak, and I'm here for it. I mean, this album was so fucking good.
Yeah, maybe a little bit thrashier, but I agree with everything else you said. And if I looked at looking at the album cover, if you are wherever you're getting the podcast, if you look at the album cover, or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see it larger. If you look at the font for the title, it looks like a black metal font. And so
it's close. Black metal font, though, most of the time you can't even fucking read. You could at least make out Blood Red Throne on that.
Yeah, I should have
known what it is. I can make out the red pretty good, but
I should have known that since this wasn't a shitty Xerox of a Xerox, and like this wasn't true black metal.
Yeah, this looks like it's an actual painting that they may have repurposed. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't think so.
But I don't know that much about Norwegian death metal because, you know, black metal suck all the air out of the room, like in Norway. And there is Norwegian death metal, obviously, and this is an example of it. And it's heavily Swedish influenced, and that's okay. But this album is fucking tight.
It definitely makes me want to go listen to some of their other stuff.
Same Z's.
Yeah, I would jump in and say, although, you know, this is different than Cerebral Rot, it is also full of bangers. You know, it's I think they got different strategies going on.
Yeah, for sure.
The two bands. I mean, apart from the fact that this is sort of a long running sort of established band, and Cerebral Rot is, you know, more of a newcomer as a band, but the members are all veterans of other bands. This does not necessarily feel like paying tribute, like Cerebral Rot felt like it was paying tribute. And I think Cerebral Rot, they basically take all of the elements of a certain style and they try to do the best they can with those elements and in using them in new and different ways. Whereas this, I think, is just full of hits. You know, it's sort of full of just straight on. You know, they're not really trying to experiment so much. That's not the vibe that I got. The vibe that I got was, you know, they have some more complex riffs. They have some that are not at all complex, but are still hooky. And that's what really makes it stand out to me, is that it's not knuckle dragging death metal, but it's not brain surgery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is definitely very hooky. And I agree with you that Cerebral Rot felt more like a love letter to the genre, where this
Sure.
doesn't in the same way. This feels like a band firing on all 8 cylinders and just really going for it.
Yeah, this is just a car running over you. There's like no humor here. Like it's just sort of happening to you. But man, are they good at running riffs.
Tracy, your thoughts?
Well, so I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here. So I know you guys are all harping on it. For me, this came across as a very standard prototypical death metal album to me. And so part of it is there wasn't a lot for me to, in a sense, grasp onto it, because I think it hit, it's like it's a good album, but for me it kept hitting, it's a death metal standard, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but very standardized death metal album. And
You
so
the best kind of album? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that
for you, maybe, but that's not me. So part of it, so I don't have the, I don't quite have the great thoughts about it towards as you guys do, because for me, this is a death metal album that in one ear out the other, and that like part of that's missing is like it wasn't the tech death aspect, where there was other aspects besides just straight pure
Sure.
death metal, as David.
There was no
Yes.
saxophone, so Tracy.
there was no saxophone?
There was no in on the jokeness part about too, which I think is probably what attracted me to Super Rot.
No, this
And
isn't a joke.
them-
They're just ramming your head into the ground
Yeah, or like if
repeatedly.
you were trying, like, if you were trying. So I think like that's part of it. There is, I didn't quite have the entire, or I'm not a, let me mainline death metal straight with no chaser.
Drake,
But I can
everyone.
recognize what it is for, or where it stands like in the genre. I can recognize that.
At least that. Yeah, but can you acknowledge that this is the best album ever written? Can you? No, it's not that. But this album is just so fucking good. These guys, as you all have said, are consummate professionals. They know exactly what they want to do, which is just run over you with a truck, and they do it. And yeah, no, there's no saxophone, there's no tech death, there's no like tee, like there's none of that here. This album just takes your face and just shoves it into the grinder. And
100%. I know you compared it to Morbid Angel earlier, but it also reminded me a lot of Vader.
word, yeah, 100%.
And we know
Thanks,
how
Europe.
much I have an issue of, or not issue, but how hard it is for me to wrap my head around Vader itself.
Yes, the songs are too short. The album's too quick.
I couldn't really get my teeth sunk into this.
Where's the
I need
Glock-
another
30
40
bullshit.
minutes.
Where's the Glockenspiel?
I do need another 40 minutes.
You get that later on in the
Oh, we
albums
do.
we're doing tonight.
We absolutely do in spades, but I feel like the stars have realigned on our grades on this one. Like, yeah, this album just kicks so
Okay.
much ass.
I think
I
a good way for, I was
Oh,
gonna
go ahead,
say,
Tracy.
I think for a good way for me to explain it is, like, I recognize them for the talent they are and how well this album is done, that I'm going to actually come back to it from that end of year list, like rankings, and go over it again. So maybe I'm just in a different mindset than at the time, or there's more I missed and let it sit for a little bit to see that I pick up on. What
The
do you think?
HVAC agrees with you.
No, it's just I shouldn't say it amuses me, but I'm really glad that Tracy is willing to like give it another try. You know, it's like maybe I missed something the first time around, or like, you know, I respect it. You know.
Okay. I can now
Is,
hear
is,
everything.
is one of you in a crater that's being shelled? What's happening? What is
I think
this?
that was Gabe's furnace kicking in.
You mean his soul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you may be able to hear my soul in the background.
my,
We need to hear your-
my soul
Realigning.
is on overdrive.
Your soul getting sucked out of the back of your body.
That's the sound it makes.
The
just-
Necrons have arrived.
The sound of
didn't
one
hear- we-
one soul killing.
We couldn't hear it, and just Shang Tsung's behind him like, your soul is mine. It just-
Soul is mine. Blood Red Throne. Yeah, this font is amazing, y'all. The more I'm looking at it, obviously I didn't see it this big. This album cover is classic.
It is super classic.
It looks like they finger painted like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's very churchy, but also like skeletons and so death metal.
It's so death metal.
In a lot of ways, I feel about this the way I did about Angelus Apatrida the first time I heard it, and I was like
Totally.
totally blown away with not only the level of musicianship but the songwriting as well, and it really scratches an itch for and Angelus Apatrida for thrash that I totally love, and this is the type of death metal where I'm almost to David levels of enjoyment.
Almost David grade. Well, I am myself, and so I was very much in the pocket here. This was so good. I listened to this album a bunch. Pushing weights. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting swole. Listen to Norwegians hate the church.
Yeah,
Get
for
my
real.
swole on.
I hate the church. The one thing they have with the black metal.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think they've burned churches down, but I can't prove that.
I can't either. Don't
I
know.
can't,
Don't know anything about it.
hard to say. No, prank call. Yeah, I don't know. Ugh.
Well, unless Tracy or Gabe, you have more to say about it, we'll move on to songs.
Let's go ahead.
Finger guns.
Somebody else should go before I go.
Same.
Okay, Tracy, go ahead.
Do it.
So for me, and I think this is part of like where my feeling for it is that I think Imperial Congregation is an okay opener compared to the rest of the tracks on the song, the tracks on the album. I think Ithaca, Conquered Malevolence, Malevolence, and Transparent Existence, and Inferior Elegance are all pretty damn good songs. But I think about track 6 for me, I start to kind of tune it out as it runs together in my head. And so I kind of fall off on the back half of the album.
Because you haven't spent a lifetime building up an immunity to iocane powder the way that I have. So that's fair. Gabe, what do you think, man? What do you know?
I don't think there are any bad tracks on this record. And the one track that I thought was just okay, actually, was Inferior Elegance.
Yeah.
I think that the back half of it, though, 6 to 10, is just relentlessly brutal and amazing. We All Bleed. I love the screaming guitar sounds. 6-7 has sick riffs and is just incredible. Consumed Illusion is really, really catchy.
So
and
good.
When I get to Hero Antics, I kept thinking Guitar Hero, because it's just like so nasty.
Yeah,
and
totally.
And the solo is just really awesome, and the bass
It
also
is.
gets to come out and play, which is really super melodic and enjoyable. And the last one's a banger. I mean, what can I say?
That was something we didn't really touch on while we're talking about the album, is just the bassist and how much he's freedom he's given throughout the mix and his playing.
No, I couldn't find who produced it or who mixed it, but I think that the mix and production on this are incredibly good. You can actually hear everything really clean. So I was really impressed by that. And I also get what you're saying, that he's not just either doubling the drums or playing, doing the Jason Newsted and playing what the rhythm guitar is playing. So, I appreciate that too. And since I'm talking, I'll go ahead and go. I kind of like them all. I concede with Gabe that Inferior Elegance does kind of dip a little bit, but the rest of it I just think fucking rocks. Imperial Congregation is a barn burner of an opener, and I really like Zarathustra as a closer. And then everything in between that I think is pretty damn good too.
I like tracks 1 through 10 only. The rest are terrible. I know these all fucking all. I can't speak highly enough about all of these tracks. It dips a little bit in Inferior Elegance, but only a bit. Consumed Illusion is one of those badass songs that's ever been written. I'm gonna go full buck on you. That song, like that sort of full Morbid Angel sound, and then Hero Antics where he goes full David Vincent at the end, sort of Bow to Me Faithfully. Yeah. So I like tracks 1 through 10, but the rest are terrible.
No, glad we were on an accord on that. So grade 8. I picked it. I'm going to give it an A. I can't give it an A+ yet, but if you ask me again in 5 years, and it might get there. But on a first listen, I was blown away. I think this is legendary.
As Ben's clone, I'm going to give it an A as well. Maybe in a few years, he and I will both give it an A+. If you don't like this album, you're not my friend. I'm just kidding. It's an A. But for real.
Well,
Abe, you want to go?
Well,
and put
all
Spain
right.
down?
Well, okay. It's an A.
Oh, good. Tracy.
Twisted my arm.
All right, Tracy. Tracy's like D minus.
No, like it. I'm going to give it an 84 and low B.
A fee on these there. But that's fair enough. Not everybody is as into this sound as David and I, and apparently Gabe are, at least for this one.
What are you doing next, Tracy?
Next, we were walking back into the insanity of Iowa from the early late 90s and looking at Slipknot's fourth album, All Hope Is Gone.
Well, I am hopeful that will go well.
Will
I
it,
wouldn't
David?
be so sure.
Indeed.
Well, tune in again next time and find out on Thunderdome Metal Reviews.
Paka!